No, we would be crucified.
All right. So last class we walked through the life of Abraham very briefly, very quickly. It covers many chapters in Genesis, but I wanted you to see how Abraham gets in the wheelbarrow, of faith, to use that example, and he really lets God change his entire life. He has faith enough in God's miracles, namely that he believed that God would raise Isaac from the dead after he killed him. That's the faith that's pleasing to God, and that faith is on us today, we who believe that God raised his only beloved son, Jesus Christ, from the dead. All right, so that was Abraham. And now we're going to talk about the New Testament model of faith in Mary. Mary as the New Testament Christian model of faith. So y'all know her life well enough, I would say, to know why Mary is our example of faith. Anybody want to give me the first point? Why is Mary the example of faith for us? Sure, and an angel shows up, says, "You will bear a son." And, of course, you got to believe in the angel, and that's a matter of faith, that this is real and this is from God. There's some faith there. However, most of y'all, if you saw an angel, you'd probably believe it, especially a beautiful, angelic, holy angel, I just called an angel angelic, but that's okay. But what about Mary's circumstance made it a harder act of faith, perhaps? And?
Well, she probably knew scripture well, and so if she knew that she's having the Son of God, she knew that he was going to suffer, so she knew her child wasn't have to suffer.
Okay. Yeah, jumping the gun a little bit. But yeah, stay in the enunciation. If she's pregnant and she doesn't have a husband, what happens? Yeah, stoned to death. And so Mary consents. By the way, I'm not going to give you words for this slide. So you can write down Mary's acts of faith and her great faith. So she, of course, believes the angel, but she also accepts a task that would expose her to the death penalty for having had intercourse and a child outside of marriage. There's some faith, and God will provide there. And while I'm sure she was excited on one level, she had to have been nervous on another. What happens next? She obviously tells Joseph. And what happens then? Too fast. What is it? How does Joseph react? Yeah, Joseph's like, and everybody speculates, even in the conservative Catholic world, on why Joseph left, why he stepped away quietly. And Scripture does say he did the just thing, he did the courteous thing, if you will, by not exposing Mary, not pointing out or causing any more judgment to be put on her. He just steps away quietly, so he does it respectfully. But why he stepped away, nobody knows. Some people speculate it was because he believed that the child was Messiah and that he was unworthy to be that close to the Messiah. Other people say he just logically said that there had been a sin here, and I'm distancing myself from that.
Well, yeah, Joseph kind of put more faith in Mary than he did like the Lord.
Well, the good news came to Joseph through Mary. So, that the Messiah is here, and we're going to be the parents of the child. So, that's a good point. Yeah, they were engaged / betrothed. Yeah, they were going steady.
Yeah.
Will.
Well, I was just thinking, probably not. You don't think he thought for a second, like maybe she committed adultery?
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, it's possible that he just had to assume that there had to be some adultery because this is just too much. So Mary has to have faith because not only is she pregnant outside of wedlock, but her fiancé is peacing out. And it's like, okay, well, he would be the one to protect me, to cover for me maybe somehow. And he's leaving. Like the faith she needed to move forward and to trust was present. All right. And then things get a lot better, right? No. What happens next that will cause her? What's that guy? What's that king's name?
King Harold.
King Herod. Not King Harold. I'll put that as a multiple choice option, though. We'll see if Eddie goes for it. King Herod gets word from the wise men there's a new king being born, the king of the Jews, perhaps.
So like what? Word got around, like people just like Mary just told somebody.
Well, they saw these wise men coming from the east, and Herod's got his guards out on his land, and kind of ask him, "What y'all here for?" And these naive, assuming the best of King Herod, wise men are like, "Oh yeah, there's a new king being born." And Herod's like, "All right, I'm not sharing my kingdom." So, yeah, and so he feels threatened by a baby, and so there's a death warrant out for every child under the age of 2, I believe.
Yeah, it's every son. Yeah, it's like every newborn son.
Yeah, every boy under the age of 2, I believe, he went after. And so Mary's got to have faith that as soon as Jesus is born, he's got that sign of contradiction. He's got that destiny to suffer, and she has to. Now that's where Joseph is now on board completely. He's getting messages from the angel about where to go, and the angel tells him to go to Egypt, and so they flee to Egypt for I'm not quite sure how long, and they eventually find their way back to Nazareth once that threat has passed. All right, Gabriel.
Not a lot, dude. Like, figure that out because there was only a certain amount of times they said that she was pregnant. It was shorter than normal pregnancy.
It was shorter than the normal.
When she was how long she was pregnant.
9 months. At least in the Catholic Church. I mean, I've never heard that theory before, but March 25th, we celebrate the Annunciation. Mary's pregnant, and then December 25th, 9 months later. Yeah. Yeah, 6, you're right. All right. And then, of course, life becomes perhaps a little bit more steady, normal in Nazareth. Jesus leaves at the age of 30 to begin his public ministry. At the age of 33, Jesus is crucified. Who's at the foot of the cross? John the Apostle, Mary, the mother of Jesus, Mary, the mother of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. 3 Marys.
Mary, the mother of Clopas.
It's just another disciple. I know.
It worked best in 30, so that counts.
Yeah, 3 Marys. The Marys Club was meeting on Friday mornings. Anyway, so there is Mary, who, of course, Jesus is her life. Jesus is, of course, her pride, her joy, her love, and everything. And here he is at 33, being crucified. Of course, there's an immense sense of it's a failure, it's a flop. How could it end this way? All these thoughts that must have gone through Mary's head. And that y'all might have even gathered that when you watch the Passion Play most years. That need to say, Mary stood, and just was there present, of course, with John. They say that she strengthened John, the apostle, to be the only apostle on Calvary. And that's her faith, saying that this is horrible, this is a mess, but God's going to work through it. And of course, we know he did in the resurrection. So why is Mary the model of faith? She's the first to hear the good news. She believed it without wavering. Joseph had some wavering, perhaps early. Peter had some wavering constantly. But Mary is the strong, steady presence. She was there at Pentecost praying for the Holy Spirit to come. And all these factors. And so she is the greatest saint, in addition to being our spiritual mother. And so when it comes to faith, in the New Testament, we look to Mary as the example.
What is like there's Mary Magdalene, Mary's mother, whatever. Like, what is our Mary's last little title? Like Jesus of Nazareth, Mary of...
Oh, she got a million of them. Mary, Mother of God. Some people call her Mary of Nazareth. Mary, Blessed Virgin Mary, Mother of God.
Like Levitical.
How would they have referred to each other?
How do they what?
How would they have referred to each other just after?
That's a good question. I think it's in relation to their parents. So there's passages in the Bible. Isn't this Jesus, the son of the carpenter? And of course, when Jesus travels, it's, oh, that's the Nazarene. He's from that region. So it's where you're from and who your parents are. Gauging culture. Yeah. 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 It's not too different than Cajun culture, you know. Who's your mama? Who's your daddy? Y'all, you know. Oh, are you part of the Broussards from, you know, Maurice or the A-Bears, you know, and Karen Crow, you know. It's all that stuff. All right. This slide also, I don't have any words on this slide, but this is one of the toughest questions, I believe, of the year. We're talking about faith. We got to live and put God in the center of our life, even though we don't see him. And that's hard. It's hard. It's hard to say that God is number one in my life, and I'm never going to see him. I'm never going to be able to prove him to others entirely, just logically. And every year, you know, students ask, well, why? And that's a fair question. Why does God make us live a life of faith? Why is this the necessity? Why doesn't he just appear to us? Why doesn't he teach religion class? Dang it. You know? Make my life easier. I may not have a job, but it'd be easier. Any thoughts on this? Cal, I'm going with hands. Kate.
What is it? Because like we were talking about earlier, it's easier. Like our love for God is more genuine if we know it's through faith, meaning that like we have to go through all of the obstacles of going through a sinful world, and then still choose God, who was comparatively deeper than just God, like showing up and saying, "Here I'm here," you know.
We're going to elaborate on this one more, but Kate says it'll be more genuine. Gabriel.
I guess this is kind of harping off of that, but like, without giving the full explanation of the whole hitchhiker guide theory about faith, if you don't have faith in God, it's not, you don't love a God, and at least in Hitchhiker's Guide, there is no God if you have no faith in God, but that's different. But like, you need faith to love God, because that's like the whole construct of religion, and yeah, that's.
Very good. There could be other reasons. Anything else? It's more genuine. I'm going to give you an example. Why does Jesus not just appear to you every morning and tell you what to do in your life? There's a strange phenomena in Lafayette that I realized as soon as I came down here, and it's been confirmed statistically, that the majority of priests, and I point over here to this side of the room, the seminarian board, and you've got these, 30 seminarians, 20 or so seminarians, who are studying to be priests. And then you have probably about 100 priests, maybe 200, I don't know, somewhere in between, in the Diocese of Lafayette. Very few of them, a small fraction, actually went to Catholic schools. Most of the priests come from Lafayette High, actually. Even my priest friends, Lafayette High. I mean, we know Father Kyle White and Father Dustin Dow came through Turlings. Other than that, I know one other priest that came through Turlings. So there's 3 that I know of out of 60 years, 70 years Turlings has been around. There could be a few more that I don't know of, but even so, that doesn't seem right. You see where I'm going? Why are Catholic school students not jumping at the vocational life? Yeah. Yeah. It's those public school students who are saying like there really has to be something more, and they're searching for it really from themselves, and they feel this aching on their heart of, I need to believe that there's more than this crappy life that we all have to drudge through a lot of days. And at a Catholic school, you're told that, and I think most of you appreciate that. And I'm willing to bet money that when you go to college, maybe not freshman year, but sophomore year and on, you're going to miss the religious atmosphere of this campus. You probably take it for granted right now, but you may not realize how much it lifts your spirits just because it's in your weekly routine. So while I think you can and will appreciate it, for the most part, most of y'all's experiences, I had to sit through a whole nother class that my public school friends never had to sit through. And gosh, they just kept shoving the Bible down our throats. And, after 12 years of that, you're like, all right, I need a break from the Catholic religion. And you treat graduation like you're graduating from the Catholic faith often. And so, yeah, there's a sense of, obviously not with everybody, but there's this sense of, in Catholic schools, it's push, and everyone's told you have to do this or you go to hell for so many years that you're just like, okay, I'm done. I need to step back. So that's an issue that needs to be addressed. I do my very best as a teacher to put Catholic options out in front of you, and I walk away from the table, and you take what you want, and you go on in your life. I try to make everything an invitation to y'all. That's just the way I approach it. That being said, why does God not become a religion teacher? Why does Jesus not just appear to you every day and tell you what to do? Because it allows for a deeper relationship. As Kate said, a more genuine, I'm searching for God. I'm wrestling with God. We know that's a good thing. And that allows you to seek God, not from the head, oh yeah, God told me I had to do this, but from the heart, as in like, I want this God and I'm struggling to follow him. So I think it really allows you to grow towards God with your whole being.
People who come who were not raised Catholic who come to faith, just always, it's a lot more, it's a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Comparatively to
Yeah.
raised Catholic and still Catholic.
It's always interesting to me to see, like, there's a married couple. One of them's Catholic, the other's not. And so oftentimes the non-Catholic person will convert, even if it's just for the wedding or something. And then they become like on fire. And that's kind of the story of my family. My dad was raised kind of what they call a Sunday Catholic. Like, you go to Sunday Mass and that was it. My dad left the Catholic faith for years, was pretty much a Baptist. And then he came back full-fledged, and he's been like walking my mom through so much. It's like, the value of like kind of doing a very deep personal search. And I think what a Catholic education needs to figure out is, how do you get that deep personal search while having religion prayers and retreats offered regularly? We got to get you to want, to go to morning mass. And of course, some of you do, to want to go to confession, and without making you go in line like they made you in grade school, right? Everybody get in line for confession. Well, it's hard to say, gosh, I really need to deal with my crap when you're being made to stand in a confessional line because you feel like it's an obligation, and it won't be as personal, it won't be as good of a confession. We all know that. So anyways, why does God make us live by faith? It's more genuine. And that leads to, this is kind of in order. When we live by faith, we don't see God, but we're desiring God. We're desiring God. We're desiring God. This is going to make room for a greater love of God. Okay, and so it'll make room, of course, for hope. So we desire God more, and then we will learn to love God more because we're searching with our whole mind, heart, soul, our whole being. And this is why Jesus told Thomas, after Thomas did see Jesus and got what he wanted, Jesus tells Thomas, blessed are those who do not see me and yet believe. I've always taken great consolation in that, because most of my life I never saw Jesus. But that piece of just like knowing that my faith and searching for God makes God happy. It's pretty awesome. So last slide on faith. And the emphasis on this slide is simply that if you got it, you got to share it. you can't just keep the faith, but every Christian is expected to profess it and bear witness to the faith. So this is the goal, and this is an essential part of faith. That if you're living your life for an invisible God, it's going to be made visible to everybody around you. This does not mean you have to go preach it on the rooftops necessarily, but that if you live your life for a God that is not seen, people will notice. And I think that's the best way to evangelize, with a holy life yourself. And you tell your friends, like, listen, y'all go do what you want to do, but my faith doesn't allow me to do that. I remember when I was on a mission trip in Jamaica, I had a big beard. I mean, it was like Duck Dynasty beard, and I got it braided when I went to Jamaica. The Rastas loved it.
I want to see that.
I have to dig very deep on Facebook to find those photos. Oh, I'm married now. I also have a professional job that I need to have a clean cut for, largely.
At least like a quick major style.
It was probably a few months. I mean, I could grow this in 2 to 4 weeks. I keep trimming it, obviously. I haven't had a baby face in probably 8 years. Oh, totally. Oh, I'll shave my head if we win state. Yeah, I know, Coach Robert. Oh, wow. Yeah, listen, the tennis team is motivated enough to win state. They don't need my facial hair to motivate them. Actually, y'all might know Matthew Guidry, the sophomore. Matthew Guidry and freshman Evan Prevot are on the third court. And they had a good first round win, and then they played S-Team's first court in regionals. And, I mean, that's just a big overmatch, and they did their best. They got a game. It was fun. But Matthew Guidry's mom said, if you win, you get a new F-250. He was like, man, he was playing lights out. Like, it was the best tennis match of his life, and he didn't come close. But but it was just funny, like, to see him get that motivation, because that's his language. He's a country boy. Anyways, okay. Wow, how did we get on it? We were talking about my beard. Oh, yeah, Jamaica, the Rastas. Anyways, the problem with having a braided beard in Jamaica is that everybody's offering you marijuana wherever you go. Everywhere. It was hard. It was like, yeah, because they see white boy with a beard, clearly not braided at home. That being said, you clearly want marijuana. So I had to turn it down. And I was getting frustrated with all the offers. And this one guy goes, hey, man, you want some? And I was like, I said, no, man. He said, how come, ma? I said, I'm Christian, ma. He goes, yeah, ma. Yeah. Yeah. Like, it was just a cool moment in my life where it's like, I am Christian. I don't believe that. He goes, good for you. Like, you know what you believe in. And I didn't have to walk around Jamaica saying stop smoking weed. I just simply said, like, there might be something higher and whatnot. That was not intended. That was good. All right. Do we have time for hope is the question. I'm not going to go for it. Not on a Friday. So there's the end of faith.